Hey everybody, Richard with the Hunter-Gatherer Society. It is a beautiful, beautiful sunny day, but I am not out foraging or fishing, or at least not yet. A lot of work to be done. It's a day off, Saturday. Everybody's got stuff to do, projects, lists, chores, shopping. So I'm working on that this morning, but one of my projects I wanted to share with you, I'm really excited about this. It is early July, so the farmers markets are full of fresh vegetables. The garden is starting to produce fresh herbs and peas and beans. And I was at the market the other day and I got kohlrabi. Now, if you have never had kohlrabi, it's one of my favorite vegetables. And it's hard to describe, but it's somewhere between like a cabbage and a radish in the flavor. And very mild. It's just one of my favorites. Very crunchy. So it was the end of the market and they had a buy one bundle, get one free. So I couldn't resist that. I went ahead and took advantage of that. That's a lot of kohlrabi to eat. So I've been kind of snacking on it, using it for lunches, but I have quite a bit left and I don't want it to go to waste. So I'm going to lacto ferment it. So with kohlrabi, you can do a couple things with it. You can lacto ferment it, just cut up in chunks or sticks for snacks. But you can also make a kraut out of it. Now today I am just going to use chunks and just get it preserved because again, I don't want it to go to waste. It's one of my favorite vegetables and it's typically, an early summer vegetable and then it's done. So I've already cut it up and you can see I've cut it up into small cubes. Now, you want to try to keep them the same size. If you've done lacto fermenting, you find that it's actually pretty challenging with a lot of vegetables to get everything the same size, right? Because some spots are thicker than others, and I don't want to spend that much time doing it. So I have found that it's not that critical. It does work better if you can get them all pretty much the same size and thickness, but it works either way. So I haven't been very fussy. I've just went through and cut it up into chunks. I've got some pint jars here that I just got done cleaning, and some weights, some fermenting lids, and then some regular lids as well, although I've got to get the inner parts out of them. So those that have seen me make stuff, I don't do a lot of measuring. I mean, I do some measuring, but oftentimes I throw some stuff in and go from there. And so this is going to be similar. Now, I do know that when you lacto ferment, you want a 2 to 5% salt ratio to your water. So in a pint jar, you're going to use approximately 1.5 to 2 teaspoons of salt in order to get that 2%, and then go up to maybe 3 teaspoons if you want to get it up to 5%. I'm going to use probably 2.5 teaspoons, get it a little bit over that 2%, and that'll work just perfectly. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm using filtered water, not straight from the tap, to get some of the chlorine and things out of there, have nice clean water for that. This is a super simple process and it makes for a wonderful snack. So we're going to start by getting a jar of salt water together, and then we'll get into kind of filling the jars and go from there. All right, I'm going to get my glasses on for this. That's heck to get older, right? All right, so we're going to use, let's see, this is a 1/2 teaspoon. So I'm just going to use, I'm going to take that lid right off of there, make it easier on myself. I'm going to just use one of these pint jars for my water. So that's 1. That's 2, and you can tell I am not being overly fussy on how full that spoon is. Again, I'm just getting it, about 2 to 2.5% on the salt. Now I do this because, once you, put the vegetables inside that jar, obviously it's not going to hold as much water. Want to mix that salt up really, really well. All right. I think that ought to do it. I've been shaking it for a few minutes. Looks pretty much broken down. All right, now we're going to load our jars. Guys, nothing fancy, right? Get them all packed in there. If you're making kraut, you want to pack it in tight. With these, that's a little different story. We do want to leave room not only for the weight, but we want to leave room, we want to leave a little fermenting room, and it's got a seal. So when I push down, the question is, do I have room over the weight? Which I do. And will it even go in there? Which it will. So that's going to be enough for now. You want to go over. Make sure the water goes over whatever you're fermenting. I think that'll do it. Oh yeah, for sure that'll do it. Then I'm going to use these little fermentation lids. So they've got a little hole in them, which is awesome because that'll let the air out. So if it builds pressure, it'll let it out, but it won't let anything in. So if you can see that, the water is over the top. Now I want to try this, I want to try it just the way it is. So I've never lacto fermented these. I always eat them before that's a problem. So, but I bought a bunch this time. So I want to try it just straight up. However, I also want to try some with some flavoring. So I've got fresh thyme, fresh oregano, and this smells like lovely, like a mint. It's what is that? Culinary catnip, that's what that is. So I'm going to cut that a little shorter. We are going to add that. So we're going to add fresh herbs. You can add whatever you want to these. It'll just add a nice bit of flavor to it. So we're going to load some in. Also makes it kind of pretty. Run it down along the sides. Pay attention to what you're doing. All of a sudden you go, wait a minute, what did I just put in? Push that down in there. Let's get a little more thyme. Everybody needs more thyme, right? Yeah, there we go. Test it. Okay, we've got plenty of room. I actually think I can get a little bit more in there. You want to get it packed as full as you can. Take advantage of all the space possible. And again, I didn't do as much in that first one because that's really more of a tester for me in regards to the, just flavor of the kohlrabi itself. Perfect. We're going to pack that down because again, we want to get that lid on there nicely. Come on. I'm going to overpack that just a hair, but if we wiggle it a little bit, it'll go right down. Okay, there we go. Again, the key thing is everything has to be under that salt water. And I think I'm gonna need a little bit more salt water, but we'll go ahead and pack the jar first. Okay, a little more herbs. There's no right or wrong amount to this. I'm going to use a little bit less than that one because I want to extend it to one more jar. So there's no real right or wrong amount. Truthfully, since I haven't done this before, you're kind of experimenting. So you might want to do, a few different ones. That ought to do it there. Pack a little more down in there. Let's try that. do it. And we do need more water. Just a little bit more. I have found that you do not need to be perfectly right? Things should be clean and sanitary to the best of your ability. But I mean, I'm not using special sanitizers. I'm using hot, soapy water, rinsing them really well, drying them really well. You know, I'm measuring, but I'm not exact. You know, some people weigh the water and the salt, and I've found you don't have to do that. I make a lot of homemade sauerkraut, and I mean, I throw a couple of tablespoons of salt into the bowl with the kraut, call it good, and the kraut turns out just fine and lasts just fine. You know, I do it to taste as well. So, I mean, there are obviously some cautions. If you don't get enough salt in there, it could get mold in it. They can go bad. So you definitely don't want to use too little. Too much might stop the process. So there is a middle ground. So when you're first starting out, I would highly encourage you to be more exact. After you've done this for a few years, a few times even, you'll kind of start to get to know, I put X amount into a pint jar, X amount into a quart jar. And, you know, then you'll be like my grandmother, a pinch of this, a dash of that, a sprig of that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. There we go. Everything's underneath the water. Some nice fresh herbs. Let's do it again. And the rest I think I'm just going to snack on. Kind of like making pickles. If you've ever made pickles, right? You're poking it down into the different holes and getting it in there. Couple of lessons I've learned the hard way. One, you need a little extra space because it will bubble and you want a little breathing room for it. Two, again, you want it under the water. That's the two most important things. Now, I don't have another one of those soft lids, so need to get that pushed down far enough to get this lid on. So the first ones, I use the fermentation lids, so they'll breathe, it'll push out any pressure, won't let anything in. This one, I don't have another one of those lids. I'm not sure where it is, which is fine. This is the way I did it for many, many years. The trick with this is we're not going to seal that lid all the way. We're going to leave it loose just a little, and that'll allow it to breathe. Now, you can tighten it all the way and just open it up once a day, let the pressure out. I don't do that. I back it off just a hair. That'll allow it to release, you know, any of the pressure, but it'll also keep things from getting in there. But again, keep everything underneath the water. And I don't believe I have enough for one more. So I think the rest are just snacks. All right, so I've got one regular with no herbs in it, and then three with, again, it's oregano, thyme, and a culinary catnip all from the garden. And so it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. You can use anything you want. You could use garlic and onion. You could use turmeric, you know, if you want to add a health kick. Now, kohlrabi are super, super nutritious, kind of like cabbage and radish. So they're very nutritious anyway. The fermenting process amplifies that vitamin content. So this is such a super healthy snack once they're complete. Now what I'll do is I'm going to leave these now for probably 5 to 7 days. After 3 to 4 days, then I'll probably start testing it. I'll use that one without any herbs in it. I'll start testing the flavor of that. You can test it every day. You can open that up and test it every day if you want. You know, if you're going to go in there with a fork or something, make sure it's clean, sterile. You know, just wash it really well before you do it, and taste it. And you can stop when the flavor is what you want. You can go out 7, 8, 9 days if you wanted to. The longer you go, you know, the stronger that flavor is going to be. So you really want to just get it where you really like it. Then you're going to put it in the fridge. And it'll last in the fridge for several months. So that cold in the fridge will bring that fermentation to an almost complete stop. It'll still ferment just a little bit, but almost complete stop. And so then you can preserve it for, like I said, several months without it going bad. You know, when you're doing this, oftentimes it's like, well, how do I know if it's working? So bubbles are a good sign, right? You'll see it kind of bubble at the top. That means it's working through its process. You know, what don't you want to see? You don't want to see like black or green, any mold of any color, right? When you're lacto fermenting, it's not uncommon to get like a white skim on the water. That's okay. That actually just take a nice clean sterile spoon, get that out of there. It's totally normal. And of course I'm having a mind blank. I can't think of the name, but you can Google that, find it very easily. And again, it won't hurt you. It's totally normal. It happens sometimes. I don't have it happen too often, but I have had it happen. So not a big deal. But anything of any color, green, black, like that, that's bad. Now you got mold issues, and just throw it away. It's not worth fighting with. Most of these ingredients are super cheap, so it's not worth risking it. But as long as it looks good, you know, again, white is okay, but as long as it's clear or just that light white film, just clean that off and it'll be fine. You might expect some discoloration of the foods depending on the food you do. You know, obviously if they turn completely black, you got a problem, right? But some discoloration is fairly normal. And then taste one when you're ready. Like I said, taste them, and your palate will tell you if you have any issues. I'm gonna knock on wood. I have been very fortunate. I've had rare mold issues, very, very rare. I've had one, I think, fermented mushrooms that I just, I don't know, something didn't seem right with them. I dumped them out. It was $1 maybe at most worth of mushrooms. Wasn't too worried about it. Mushrooms, by the way, excellent. Lacto fermented. So, but I wasn't comfortable with those, so I dumped them out. We're not going to risk it, but a wonderful way to preserve them, great flavor and great nutritional value. So again, lacto fermented kohlrabi. Google it. It's a great vegetable. That's all I've got. I think it's time to get out and I think I'm going to make some kombucha next. Then it'll be time to get out and get on the e-bike, and who knows? Maybe I'll be out doing something wild.